Hey everybody, welcome to drinknectar.com. I'm your host, Josh Wade, and tonight we are going old school. We're going to school in Walla Walla, Leocal 41. The old schoolhouse built in 1915. Leocal produces about 30,000 cases. Beautiful, that great facility, a lot of fun. You can go in there, write on their chalkboard, experience their different areas and the different segments in their tasting rooms. You even have about 1.5 acres of Cabernet and a working vineyard right next to right in that facility or next to the winery there. Source some grapes from Pepper Bridge. They also get some grapes from Seven Hills, one of the top 10 voted vineyards in the country, I believe it was, by Wine and Spectator or Wine Enthusiast magazine in 2004. Marty Club is the owner. They were the third winery in Walla Walla, the 20th in the state. Really enjoy their wines, so have a great opportunity to share them here with you tonight. Some of their 2007 and 2008 releases. This is the 2008 Luminesse, 70% Semillon, 30% Sauvignon Blanc, $20. Comes across in the glass. It's very light and yellow straw, hints of honey colors in there. Let's give it a sniff. So about 800 cases of this wine made, spends a little bit of time in oak, about 30% malolactic fermentation. Getting some tropical aroma in there and just some hints of like subtle fruit like a pear, but you also have that tropical balance in there. So it's got a couple things happening in the nose. Let's give it a sip. So I'm really liking the mouth feel, the mouth coating, and then the dynamic finish, and I'll explain that. Since the wine spent about 4 months in oak and went through about 30% malolactic fermentation, it's got a nice round mid palate. The fruit and the very, very tip of your tongue has a good gentle approach to it. When it hits the mid palate, it's nice and round and soft. And the back, the acidity is beautiful. Would be perfect just for sitting and sipping, but also and picture this pairing very, very well with food. All right, the next wine we're going to try is their 2007. This is the Seven Hills Vineyard Merlot, 81% Merlot, 11 Cab Sauv, 8% Cab Franc. It's $37. Scored 92 points by Paul Greggett, 91 points in Wine Advocate. Really has a good thick color to it, but still comes across as being fairly translucent. You can see it at the bottom of the glass. Has some nice pretty colors out to the edges, really is, dances well in the light. Let's give it a sniff. Okay, so the initial sniff of this wine, you've got kind of an earthy, musty ground cover type component. Some of the I wouldn't call it, well, they're not called weeds, but just the ground cover that grows in the middle between the vineyards you're out there, and you've got that grassiness. But then you get a little bit of some darker dried components of fruit. Definitely not a bright cherry in there at all. It's going to be more soft, subtle tobacco, a little bit of cinnamon in there. So an interesting presentation of a Merlot. Let's give it a sip. All right, so this is a pretty muscular Merlot. That the addition of the 8%, 11% Cabernet Sauvignon comes through in the back end, provides enough structure that would help it stand well to cellaring as well as to some heartier foods. That mustiness is still there just a little bit, and you have an interwoven component of just some cedar and some oak in there as well. The palate, it just starts off on the tip of your tongue as being moderately fruity, but not a lot. And in the middle of the palate is a little chalky, and then on the back end, like I said, you've got that big tannin, or not big, I'd say like a medium tannin in there that would help it pair well with food. The last wine we're going to try is one of two of Leocol's premier wines. This is the Apogee. I hope I'm saying that right. Comes from Pepper Bridge Vineyards, and Apogee stands for the pinnacle or the farthest distance that the moon is when it's in its orbit. So they're shooting for a pinnacle of success with this wine. Definitely comes across as being kind of thicker and a little bit cloudy in color. but you can still see to the bottom of the glass, just a little bit darker in presentation than that Merlot. Didn't tell you that this is 60 Cab, 30 Merlot, 6 Malbec, and 4% Cab Franc. Comes in at $50. So you get a little bit more brightness and fruit on here, and you've got the blackberry, black cherry types of fruits, and then you also get just subtle hints of cocoa and some earth that's coming through on the nose. So let's see what the sip is like. Big-bodied wine. A lot happening throughout the whole entire feel of the wine. Definitely a big boy red wine. A lot of thick chewiness on the back end, but it dissipates pretty quickly. It doesn't leave you feeling, at least on the first sip, it doesn't leave you feeling like you've chewed your tongue off, or that you've rubbed it raw or anything like that. So leans towards what people call the dry side of a red wine because of those tannins. But the layers of fruit that are interwoven in there really make it for an intriguing drink, and which is what I would expect at $50. I wouldn't want to pay for this and have it be just one-dimensional. So there are some subtle dimensions of this wine interwoven in there. Overall, I love what Le École's doing. I love what they stand for. They're big proponents of being involved in social media and a great customer service aspect to them. Being a winery that's 27 years old, they've got a wine club and library wines that are phenomenal. So I really encourage you to check them out, either online. Distribution's pretty good across the country, and they're even available overseas. So life's always meant to be enjoyed with friends.